Hi everyone, welcome back to the Stitch Sessions and welcome to this installment in our Pillow Talk crochet series. Those of you that are regular crochet friends, you know every year I hold a themed crochet series, and the first Wednesday of every month we work on a project that relates to the theme of that series. And so for 2023, our theme is Pillow Talk. So we are working on creating and crocheting all kinds of different types of pillow shapes and pillow covers or pillows, etc. So for the month of April, in honor of the Easter season and springtime and all of these fun things that come along with the season, we are going to create this really pretty pillow that I call the Easter Parade pillow. It's got all of these fabulous spring colors, the pinks, the greens, the yellows, and we are using the most basic motif, usually one of the first motifs that you actually dive into when you're newer crocheter, and that is the granny square. So we're just simply using a few different colors to create this effect. But if you've ever done the granny square, if I turn it this way, you can see the square motif. This is a one panel project. In fact, it's just one larger square that we then fold over on a diagonal that creates this really cool effect. And I specifically did it this way so you can see the insert. So a little bit of that white comes through. And as long as you've got a ribbon here, you can tie up the corners and that can become the front of your pillow. It looks like a little gift. Or you can always just turn it this way and you can just really see the beautiful granny square effect. So if you know your double crochet stitches, you are good to go for this project. So I think that you'll have a lot of fun with this. Now, this pillow insert is a 12-inch by 12-inch pillow. It is small, so this might make for a really pretty accent, perhaps in a child's room, or you can use this as decor for the season. I know some people really like to be very holiday and season specific with their decor items. So this could be strictly just for a decor display type of scenario, or you can actually use this. Why not? And so if you would like to actually cinch these sides in, you can certainly do that. I have a thick ribbon here. You can get a thinner ribbon and just lace up all of these sides to still meet in the middle and create that bow, and you are good to go. But isn't that lovely? Super quick to make. I whipped this up in an evening. So if you've got a couple of these that you want to make, maybe for gifts or something like that, you will have no issues creating this in really, really quick amount of time. So let's just get to it. We'll talk about everything you're going to need to create this pillow, and then we will get stitching it up. All right, so the yarn I'm going to be using for this project is a couple of different colors, and I love using the Bernat Premium yarn. It's just always so lovely to work with, and it creates such a pretty fabric. So it is considered a medium 4-weight yarn, and each skein contains 198 grams, which is 360 yards or 329 meters. I have one skein each of these in the pink, the yellow, and a little bit of the green. Now the green, this is left over from another project. It is not the Bernat Premium, just in case you're wondering. It is the Heartland yarn by Lion Brand, and it is also considered a medium 4-weight yarn. So it'll be a perfect, nice kind of cohesive yarn weight, as well as I love this colorway because it's very, very springy. One skein each should be plenty, depending, of course, on how large you're going to make your pillow or how many pillows you're going to make. But one of each should be fine for one pillow. You'll also need some kind of ribbon. I am using this satin yellow ribbon here. This is actually, I believe, blanket binding. You put this on the edge here so it opens up quite nice and wide. Now I had this left over from another project, which will serve me perfectly for this one. And the length I have here is about 44 inches in total. So you just need something to cinch up your pillow at the end. And the hook size I'm going to be using for this project is a 5.5 millimeter hook, which is also known as an I or a size 9. As always, make sure that you have a pair of scissors on hand to snip your yarn and a yarn needle to sew in your ends at the end. So let's get started working on our pillow. So we're going to begin by creating a cinch circle, and this is my favorite way to start granny square projects or granny square motifs. So I like my centers to cinch in nice and tight. If you struggle with cinch circles, you can certainly do the chain 4, chain 5 method. So a cinch circle essentially is like starting with a slip knot, but you're not going to resolve it. So I've got my loop here. And then I'm going to pull a loop through, but I'm not going to cinch this shut like a slip knot. I'm just going to keep that open. And then I'm going to chain 1 to secure. And that is my cinch circle. And I always like to pull that tail out to the front. Okay, so we're going to begin with round 1. And we are going to chain 2 more. So we have 1, 2. So this is going to count as a double crochet stitch. So what we're going to do now is we're going to double crochet into the center of our ring here, making sure to crochet over the tail as well, because that's what's going to help you cinch your circle in. Now, this center is going to be a little different than a regular granny square. I actually just want to crochet a full circle to begin. So I'm going to continue placing 1 double crochet into the center of the circle until I have a total of 12 stitches. Okay, I have 12 double crochet stitches now in the ring. My chain 3 does count as a stitch. I'm now just going to take my tail and I'm going to pull it to cinch my center shut. Don't be afraid to pull on it pretty tightly. You'll feel it kind of click in. And there we go. The center is nice and closed. And now I just want to find the top of that chain 3 that we did. And I'm just going to slip stitch to join my round. Just like that. See, I have a circle. Then I'm going to chain 1. And I'm actually going to snip my yarn here. And then just pull that through. And the center of my motif is finished. So I've got a nice circle there. Now at this point in time, I recommend that you sew in these ends here just so that it doesn't confuse you, okay? Especially if you're a little bit newer. Next up, we're gonna take our yellow color and we're gonna place a slip knot on our hook. Okay, so I just took a moment to weave in my ends there. So there's my circle. And now I'm just going to place a slip knot on my hook. Just like that. Okay. And what I want to do now is find a spot somewhere in between a stitch. So I'm just going to go right in between these 2 stitches and I'm going to slip stitch to join. Okay. Then I'm going to chain 5. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The chain 5 is going to count as a double crochet and a chain 2. So 3 of these chains are going to count as a double crochet. The chain 2 is going to count as a corner space. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into that same space and I'm going to place 3 double crochets, which you guys should know creates a shell stitch. Okay, so always yarn over first, insert, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And I have 1 more to go, just working over that tail there. Okay, so there you have it. You have a shell, then you have technically a double crochet and a chain 2. This will get completed once we come back around, which you'll see in a little bit. So for now, what we're going to do is we are going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next 3 stitches. So I like to count this through the posts in this particular round. So in round 2, once I've done my shell here, I'm going to skip 1, 2, and 3. and I'm going to go into the space of the next stitch there. So we've got 3 stitches in between. So I'm going to yarn over. Into that space, I'm going to place a shell stitch, which is 3 double crochet stitches. Just like that. Okay. Here we're going to create another corner. So we are going to chain 2. So remember, chain 2s always give our corners a little bit of a bend. And then we're going to go back into that same space and we're going to place a shell stitch. So we have 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you can really see that corner there. So this was just a partial corner. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat that. So I'm going to skip the next 3 stitches. So that looks like it's the chain 3. So I have 1, 2, and 3. And I want to work in between the stitches. So could you work into the stitch? Yes, but for this project, we are going to be working in the spaces. So I will chain 1, and then I'm going to go into that space and do the same thing. 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. I then will skip the next 3 stitches and do the same thing. Okay, then chain 2 and back in. So repeat that until you get to here, and I'll meet up with you then. Okay, so I've completed my other 3 corners, and now I'm chaining 1, and now I'm coming back to the beginning. So this was only a partial corner. So this counts as a double crochet. So a shell has 3 double crochets, so we need to place 2 more in here. So we're going to go right back into the very first space and place a double crochet, and then we're going to place another double crochet. Now, this is the way I like to start and end granny square projects. Now, in this case, we're changing colors, so it kind of doesn't matter. But if you were using a continuous color, I just find that this makes a much more seamless way to end off the rounds. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the top of the 3rd chain, which is right there, and I'm going to slip stitch to close off round number 2. So I'm going to chain 1. And I'm going to snip off my yarn. So we are changing colors with every round. And so now, even though this is creating a square shape, we do call it working in the round because we're not really turning over our work like we would with a flat project. So now you can see what's happened to our circle. It's kind of created this little kind of cross or petal-like shape. So that's round number 2, and we're going to go on to round number 3. So if you're very familiar with working granny squares, you kind of know what's happening here. We're just simply changing colors with every row. I'm going to continue for a couple more rounds for those of you that are a little newer and with changing colors. So next we're going to introduce our pink color. Okay, so with the pink color, we're also going to begin by placing a slip knot on our hook here. And I like to always begin in a corner. And I always try to work in a different corner than the last knotted one. I just find that it kind of spreads out where the knots are. So I'm going to start right there. I'm going to slip stitch to join. And I'm going to start off by chaining 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to go back into the same stitch or the chain 2 space, and I'm going to place a shell in there. Now, actually, what I'm going to do, let me take this out. So I'm going to show you what it's like to just start with a regular shell stitch, since we are actually changing colors every round. And some of you might like that. So what you can do is actually just start off by creating a full shell. So I just chain 3, And now I'm going to place 2 more shells, just as you normally would do. Trying to work over that tail as well. And then chain 2, 1, 2, and then go back into that corner. So each corner is going to get a shell, chain 2, and shell. And then there is my 3rd shell. Now in my granny projects, I don't necessarily chain 1 in between my shells. I did in the first round because it is a pillow project and I just wanted this to kind of spread out a little bit, but I am not going to chain 1 anymore. That is totally up to you. I would recommend it if you are a tight crocheter. Otherwise, you can just follow along directly with me. So now we have a full side that we're working into, and we have a shell space. So that's what we're going to work into there to create our next stitch. So it's going to be 3 double crochets, which is our typical shell stitch. Okay, and now we've come across our corner here. So a corner is going to get a corner. So you're going to place 3 double crochets. So it's a little easier to see now what we're placing where. Okay, then chain 2, 1, 2, and back into that same space. Whoops. I'm going to place another shell. So this is pretty straightforward now. Once you establish these first 3 rounds, the rest is easy peasy to create. So you can see, got 2 corners there, and now the next space is just a simple shell space. So you're just going to go right into that space and place 1 shell. And then as your project grows, you'll start seeing more and more of these shell spaces. Okay, just like that. Aren't those such pretty spring colors? Okay, so I'm going to let you finish this round, round number 3. Next one is a corner, so we know it's a shell, chain 2, shell. Regular chain space is just 1 shell. Corner, shell, and then corner. So what you're going to do here, because we started with a regular shell, once you finish this last shell here, you're just going to find the top of your chain 3, slip stitch to join as usual, and snip off your yarn. So I will meet up with you to just take you through one more round, and then I will set you off to finish your panel. Okay, so I'm just finished round number 3. And now the rest of your panel should be fairly straightforward because you can see where your corners are and you can see where your regular shell spaces are. So what I would do for round number 4 now is I'm going to bring back my green color because this is the order I'm going to do it in. Green, yellow, pink, green, yellow, pink, green, yellow, pink. Okay? And then again, I'm going to place a slip knot on my hook. And I'll find a corner and slip stitch to join. And you know the drill. Every corner gets a corner, which is shell, chain 2, shell. And see, now we have 2 regular shell spaces, so you would just do a shell, and then of course, here's the corner and all of that jazz. So you know what to do. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to do the chain 3 since we are changing colors in every round. And I'm going to create a regular corner. So just so you can see what the effect is going to be. So then I'm going to chain 2 and shell stitch. So this is super easy. If you've done lots of granny square motifs, then you will be very familiar with how this works. But you know what? If you've done any crocheting with using your double crochet stitch a lot, which is one of the most popular crochet stitches, you should not have any problems working this project because basically it's all it consists of is double crochet stitches. And of course the shell stitch is 3 double crochets clustered together. So I just wanted to start that off there. So that is round number 4. So what you're going to do now is you're just going to repeat these rounds. You know what to do in the corners and the sides. You're going to change the colors accordingly so that you're always following this order, and you're going to create a panel that is going to be double the size of your pillow. So for me, my pillow is a 12-inch by 12-inch square pillow. This works best, of course, with the square shape. So I am going to create a panel that is 16 inches by 16 inches. So if you have a perfect square, whatever your dimensions are, you want to create a panel that's double that size. Remember, it has to wrap across one side and then over the back. So I am going to work my large panel, and I will meet back up with you once we are ready to form our pillow into its shape. Okay, so I have finished my full granny square. So you can see it's just a regular granny square. And so I did it until I reached my 16 inches. So we just need enough so that it's going to fold over on each of the sides. So this is the part where I'm going to bring my pillow in. So I'm going to bring my pillow insert, and this is what makes this so easy. So you're going to take your insert and you're not going to lay it in line with the shape. You're going to lay it on kind of an offset pattern, just like that. Okay, so your pillow's here and the corners of your granny square are sticking out on the opposite side. So all you're going to do is you're just going to pick up your corners and you're going to fold them in like you're wrapping a present, just like this. So you see, they fit really nicely. And don't worry about these gaps. I mean, this is part of the look here. Now, if you are bothered by these gaps, because this is part of the look, you can always actually cinch the ribbon. You can actually do this. You can take 4 ribbons, cinch in each side so they all meet in the center, and then tie a big bow there. But this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take that little corner here. I'm going to insert. Okay. And I'm going to go across to this one here. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to make sure that it's nice and even so that I have it pretty much in the center. And now I'm going to go across beside. I'm going to pick this one up, bring it through, and then I'm going to take this one, and on this corner right here, I'm going to bring it through. It just so happens that I ended on the yellow row, by the way. I did not do that on purpose. So once they've all been cinched in, and now all I do is I just tie a knot and I tie a bow. And there you have your Easter parade pillow. I actually really love how the white shows through on this side. It's just really pretty. And you can, of course, make your bow nice and wide if you like. I like the fact that it's nice and thick. So you can show it on this side. So that would be the bow side. This is why it's nice as a little piece of decor. But when you turn it over, look at how pretty that pattern looks. Isn't that lovely? So like I said before, if you did not want to have this as just a showpiece, so to speak, you can actually get a slightly thinner ribbon and lace up, because remember with the granny square design, you have all of these little spaces here. You can just lace up each end with 4 ribbons, and then once you get to the middle, you can then tie it up and it will look just as lovely. So there you have it. That is what I'm calling my Easter parade pillow. Look at how pretty those spring colors look. I just love how when we offset that granny square, it creates that diamond shape. Just so pretty. And super, super simple. The granny square is one of the most basic patterns and motifs that you will use or work on in your crochet repertoire. So I hope you had fun with that one. And I hope you were delighted at how easy yet really pretty we can create this design. Now, as always, if you have any detailed questions, you can leave them for me in the comment box down below, or you can reach me directly at info@crochetcrafty.com. I'm always very happy to answer any of your emails if you have any deeper questions. And don't forget, come visit me on the crochetcrafty.com website. So there you'll get lots of extra bonus tools like sizing charts and things like that. And you'll have links to some of my free written patterns. So don't forget to sign up for my monthly newsletter because I do gift you a free written pattern every month. And of course, you can come and visit me on my Etsy shop and check out any other patterns you might want to have a look at. And as always, you can come say hi to me. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at The Stitch Sessions. And remember to tag me in your creations. I'm always so happy to see how you take my designs and make them your own. So I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you've enjoyed this installment in our Pillow Talk crochet series, and I will see you all in next week's session. So take care, guys, and see you then. Bye-bye.